See you next time on The Chase Australia.
Tonight on 7 News, a Black Lives Matter protester diagnosed with COVID. A decision on the Gold Coast border opening now on hold.
Firebomb terror, a young couple and their baby under attack in their Logan home.
Killed at work, then bosses lied to his family. The first industrial manslaughter prosecution in Queensland history.
The burst Brisbane water main which sparked an explosion, bringing trains to a stop.
Amazon coming to Brisbane, delivering new jobs and faster online shopping across Queensland.
And cash bonus this tax time, how you can get a better return.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Sharyn, Ghidella and Max Futcher.
Good evening. A protester from a weekend Black Lives Matter rally has tested positive for COVID-19.
The infection occurred in Melbourne, but the impact could be felt on Queensland's borders.
It was peaceful and powerful, but it always posed a risk, and it's now evident why. A Melbourne man in this huge protest crowd had COVID-19.
They were potentially infectious. We were all concerned about the possibility of transmission occurring at that protest or indeed in other places across Australia.
Including Queensland, where 30,000 attended. That gathering now putting a potential pause on a border reopening decision as the Premier awaits local infections.
I think National Cabinet's going to be looking at those mass protests as well. We have to take that into account.
The Prime Minister wants future protesters charged, but also borders brought down soon. It's been almost a week since thousands marched across the Victoria Bridge, and a lot now hinges on the medical fallout from that protest. But if there is no outbreak, it's looking more likely that the PM and Premier will reach a consensus on when to reopen borders.
There is no dissent on this. He has said July, I have said July.
It's critically important for Queensland for them to lift those border restrictions to get people in their tourism industry back to work.
In regions like Cairns, revealed as having the state's largest uptake for JobKeeper, fifth highest in the nation, locals now desperately seeking the program's extension into next year.
It's a no-brainer that we have to do this extension, and look, I'm confident that it will happen.
Rare confidence in an anxious time. Joel Dry, 7 News.
A young mother has described the terrifying moment arsonists laid siege to her Logan Reserve home. She was inside with her partner and baby when flaming bottles were launched through their windows.
A young family under fire as four hooded figures take aim over a side fence at 2:13 a.m, hurling at least 5 firebombs at the home on Killara Boulevard in Logan Reserve. With flames starting to spread, the arsonists flee, but not before launching 3 more Molotov cocktails on their way out, and then trying to torch a ute parked on the street.
Sounded like a bit of commotion, like go, 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 and a car just taking off.
While their victims, a 19-year-old mother and her baby boy, escape the burning home.
We're not injured at all. We got out of the house pretty much straight away. I ran out with Bob.
She'd been asleep inside with her partner when they came under siege.
It looked like they've carried an esky full of bottles with fuel in it, lit them up and thrown them.
At least one landed in the infant's room. Another took hold in the kitchen.
Just, it's so overwhelming and gross, having a young child in the house.
A neighbour came to their aid before firefighters arrived.
In there trying to put it out, he was throwing buckets of water and stuff like that over the fence.
The young couple have lived here for less than a year. They've told police they don't know why they were targeted, a motive now the focus of this investigation. But you have no idea why?
Honestly, we don't have any reason.
That could have fuelled such a sinister attack. Mac Lyon, 7 News.
A Rockley wrecking yard has been fined $3 million in the first industrial manslaughter prosecution in Queensland history. The directors of the business lied to the victim's family, blaming him for his own death before they too were charged.
Barry Willis was known as Tiger, a father of 4, a beloved grandfather to 6.
We were extremely special to him, but not like his grandchildren.
Tiger was struck by a reversing forklift at Brisbane Auto Recycling in May last year. He died 8 days later.
We haven't been able to breathe pretty much for the last 12 months.
It is incredibly distressing to see Mr Willis crushed by the force of the forklift.
Josie was told her dad had fallen off a truck. It was a lie told by Mohammed Karimi, one of the directors. Backed up by the other Asadullah Husseini, doctors questioned their story. Tiger's injury injuries didn't match a fall, police became involved.
It's more hurt, heartache, to know that people can actually place blame on a victim.
The company was charged with industrial manslaughter, the directors charged with reckless conduct. The driver of the reversing forklift was unlicensed. The company had no workplace safety systems, no health policy. Its workers were unprotected, and it was 9 months behind in superannuation payments.
The gravity of the offending and the moral culpability of each defendant is high.
The company, now insolvent, was fined $3 million. The directors jailed for 10 months, wholly suspended for 20 months.
Reiterate their deep regret and condolences to the family of Mr Willis.
29 people never made it home from work in 2019. Tiger was one of them. Jessica Mummy, 7 News.
Teenager Will Callahan has had a good night's sleep after 2 days lost in freezing conditions in Victorian bushland. This afternoon, he was released from hospital. His grateful mum says he's remarkably well.
Penny Callahan has barely slept since Will disappeared on Monday afternoon, but last night her son finally did.
He has demonstrated what an amazing person he is.
The 14-year-old, who has autism and doesn't speak, spent 2 nights in the bush at Mount Disappointment before being found just 1.5 kilometres from where he ran off.
He didn't really go too far. He was clearly waiting to be rescued.
And even though he had an insect in his ear and a suspected broken foot, he's been well enough to eat 4 large boxes of chips and some chicken nuggets. He was found yesterday morning by volunteer Ben Gibbs, who sang to Will, gave him his socks, jacket and some chocolate.
I can't wait to meet him. He clearly did all the right stuff. What an amazing guy.
The officer in charge of the search was the one to tell Will's mum he'd been found.
Letting them know, probably one of my career highlights. It was just so exciting to deliver that news.
To entice Will from the bush, Inspector Lawler had police cars play his favourite Thomas the Tank Engine song and encourage locals to put out food. Autism advocates are thrilled.
I think it's been huge, to be honest. I think it brings awareness about communication differences, and it brings a lot of that awareness around how we can communicate with people who have got communication differences.
Police are now considering some sort of formal recognition, perhaps even an award for the volunteers involved in the search for Will, including the reluctant hero who found him, Ben Gibbs.
Extremely proud of everyone. I mean, this is such a big team effort, and, you know, we couldn't have done it alone.
In a year low on good news, finally a reason to celebrate. Laurel Irving, 7 News.
Police allege a huge blaze that damaged 5 boats at Hope Island last week was an insurance job. The boat owner from Ipswich has been charged with arson and attempted fraud. 2 other men are accused of igniting the blaze with petrol.
They've sought some medical treatment because they were fairly significant burns, and the investigations progressed from there.
It's alleged the 33-year-old boat owner lodged an insurance claim for $50,000. Global shopping giant Amazon will set up a distribution hub in Brisbane, promising faster delivery to Queenslanders. The Premier has warned the company must look after workers' conditions, but there's mounting pressure over her own public service pay freeze.
This is what the warehouse in Brisbane's east will look like as the world's largest online retailer sets up shop.
It's wonderful to welcome Amazon to Queensland.
The Lytton HQ will be the size of 2 football fields, promising faster delivery by Christmas.
The fulfilment centre will house more than 500,000 products,
creating 170 construction jobs, another 200 ongoing jobs. But what about Amazon's controversial tax record and staff working conditions?
And we always put the employee's safety first and foremost.
Yet unions elsewhere have criticised workers being timed to hit targets.
They have to abide by Queensland working conditions, and I'm absolutely delighted that there is going to be local jobs.
The Premier's treatment of her own workers is also in focus. The public service pay freeze for teachers, police and nurses is meant to begin in 19 days. Amid speculation, new laws next week may renege on signed deals for 2.5% rises.
There's no legislation at this stage.
The Premier needs to be honest with Queenslanders. I mean, all the Premier is doing is sending mixed messages.
And not ruling out a deferral, giving public servants double next year.
We haven't made our final decision.
As delivery day looms. Patrick Lyons, 7 News.
New images have been released showing the last moments before a deadly plane crash at Cape York. The photos, taken by passengers on board the Cessna, revealed just how poor conditions were as their pilot tried to land at Lockhart River in March. All 5 men on board were killed when the light aircraft
There was no evidence
crashed.
of any mechanical or structural defect with the aircraft.
The Australian Transport Safety Bureau is continuing to investigate.
Toowong residents say they're appalled by the way the government's handled a homelessness housing crisis. They claim without consultation, hundreds of vulnerable men and women were moved into their street and it's changed their suburb.
On Glen Road in Toowong, ambulances and police are common sight.
We have had drug deals that have been witnessed by residents in our complex, prostitution, people drinking illegally on the street.
Residents have caught strangers trespassing and smoking drugs in the park.
And this is a daily occurrence. There is nowhere for these people to go.
In April, 234 homeless people were moved into Atira under a state government initiative. It was student accommodation, now a haven for the at-risk.
They help us get our feet underneath ourselves, get ourselves sorted and actually comfortable going back into society and making a difference.
Neighbours say their problem isn't strictly Atira's residents.
There's been no consultation and this just happened.
Police have confirmed they've received extra calls for service to Toowong, but not for violent offences or assaults. They've also noted an increase in theft and antisocial behaviour. Toowong Village is a stone's throw away. Management won't talk. Shop owners fear retribution. There's now a petition for a permanent police beat.
And I'll keep fighting for that. I believe it's needed.
A mobile beat is being considered. The local member wants more.
Safe, secure, long-term housing from the government rather than this kind of temporary band-aid solution.
Minister De Brenny said whilst we work on a longer-term solution in the current pandemic situation, it can only be described as a success, which could be replicated down the road. The council confirming the company in charge of Atira has applied to accommodate more short-term residents at 611 Coronation Drive. Tom Hartley, 7 News.
Australia has been painted a grim new picture on the economic consequence of COVID-19, suggesting a second wave will cost the economy $25 billion. But it wasn't all bad news. The report claims Australia has avoided the worst of the damage so far, performing better than most other countries.
Re-emerging from the economic fog of the pandemic, the outlook is becoming clearer.
Australia stands out as a leader in the economic recovery.
An OECD assessment of world economies finding if Australia avoids a second wave of infection, the hit to GDP will fall from 8.5% to 5%, and unemployment won't peak at 10% but 7.6%. Better than most countries.
That compares to 7.3% in the United States, 8% in Canada, 8.9% in New Zealand, 11.5% in the United Kingdom.
But a warning on the withdrawal of JobKeeper payments. The OECD suggesting some income support measures may need to be extended beyond their September expiry date to allow businesses to rebuild.
They need to make sure that we have a transition rather than a snapback that will snap communities.
And a second wave would snap the economic recovery. The OECD predicting it would cost the economy $25 billion and wipe out businesses and jobs.
We are looking at all of those matters extremely carefully.
And accepting responsibility for the robo-debt debacle, saying sorry to victims.
I would apologise to any hurt or harm in the way that the government has dealt with that issue.
Mark Riley, 7 News.
There's still no sign of a missing man in Ipswich, where police and the SES have been searching bushland in Riverview. 37-year-old Mark Wilson was last seen nearby at a home in Bannerman Street on Tuesday. Police say they're examining all possibilities, but at this stage it doesn't appear to be suspicious. The brother of George Floyd has today pleaded with American politicians to stop the pain. As the country grapples with police reform, protesters have taken aim at a long-standing symbol of controversy with some success.
The day after burying his brother, Thelonious Floyd came to Washington to demand his death not be in vain.
He pleaded for his life. He said he couldn't breathe. Nobody cared.
Calling for police reform with accountability, empathy, respect and use of deadly force only when life is at risk.
When you watch your big brother, who you looked up to for your whole life, die begging for his mom, I'm here to ask you to make it stop. Stop the pain.
He then took his message to the streets, joining protesters near the White House. In Minneapolis, the police chief promised an early warning system to identify troublesome officers like Derek Chauvin.
I would not be in the same room with him, and I refuse to mention his name.
Another fired officer charged with aiding and abetting George Floyd's murder was today released on bail. While the White House works on its plan for reform, today Donald Trump talked about his successes.
We've done a lot for the black community and we've done a lot for all communities.
But it's more than policing in the spotlight. Protesters calling for the removal of Confederate statues, a push to rename military bases named after Confederate officers already shot down. But the Confederate flag will no longer fly over NASCAR, today banned from the track. In the United States, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
And a wave of censorship is sweeping the globe in the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests, with movies, TV shows being removed. HBO has dropped the classic Gone with the Wind due to its racist themes, while here a popular comedy series has been dumped by Netflix.
When Gone with the Wind was released in 1939, it garnered 8 Oscars, including the first for an African-American actor, Hattie McDaniel.
Oh, now, Miss Scarlett, you come on and be good and eat just a little. No.
Gone with the Wind is but one example of a film that portrays blacks in an unrealistic and unflattering light.
The movie has been temporarily pulled from HBO and will reappear with appropriate messaging.
Where do you draw the line? Should George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and James Madison be erased from history?
Here, Netflix has dropped 4 series from comedian Chris Lilly, some where he portrays characters in blackface.
You give hip-hop a bad name.
Little Britain, dumped from TV and streaming too. The most visible removals are of statues. This one of Christopher Columbus torn down in Minnesota. In the United Kingdom, statues of Cecil Rhodes and Winston Churchill among hundreds targeted. This statue was erected in 1879 and has been vandalised many times, most recently in 2018 with the words, "No pride in genocide." But was Captain James Cook racist? Were his actions? And should his statue be torn down? Some suggest adding a plaque to provide context. Others want it removed.
I think it's dreadful cultural vandalism.
Ironically, it was Churchill who made the point in a speech to Parliament. Those who failed to learn from history are condemned to repeat it. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
Now to the weather, and Tony, the skies cleared today.
Yes, they did, Max. A bit more sunshine around, and as a result, it warmed up too. Now, here's the reason why. A trough here dragging the focus for rain well off the coast with it, leaving mostly dry conditions over land. Temperature-wise, tops well above average, up to 5 degrees in some spots. Beaudesert and Gatton led the way on 27 degrees. Some more rain developing over the weekend. I'll be back soon with the forecast.
Thank you, Tony. A nighttime spectacle in inner Brisbane as a water main explodes near Suncorp Stadium.
A dramatic rescue off a famous beach for a whale tangled in rope.
The plan to simplify the Tokyo Games, what it means for our athletes.
And before the weather, calculating your tax, how JobKeeper has changed the equation for so many.
Seven News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all, we're all in this together.
One by one, my housemates will come face to face with what they fear most.
Oh no! More!
But could it bring them together? What do you think of Chad?
When I saw him, I was like, ooh, hot damn.
Please explain Hot damn to Big Brother.
Hi. Stop. I seriously feel like I'm in school again.
Big Brother's Big Week starts Sunday at 7 on 7.
Businesses are facing an overwhelming amount of information. Business Australia can help you get the answers to your toughest questions with our free business advice lines. Get the support you need at businessaustralia.com.
You're relying on our network more, so we're accelerating the rollout of Telstra 5G, giving more people and businesses access to fast download speeds in more places than ever.
Hi, Peter. What can I get you?
Just some beef mince, please.
Just some beef mince. Tell me, was Bradman just a cricketer, Peter?
Don Bradman was a great...
I hear, Bill.
Did Kate just do a spot of telly?
And I suppose your mum Denise makes just a bolognese.
Peter, Mum. OK. I'll have some beef mince, please.
Great choice. Because...
Our beef's the greatest meat on earth.
If you're road tripping, RACQ has you covered. More Queenslanders trust us to insure their cars and come to their rescue with 5 levels of roadside assistance. Plus, members save on fuel and more. Get yourself road trip ready with RACQ.
This Saturday with Sportsbet, get the best payout across all 3 tabs with top-toed exotics. Nail a quinella, trifecta or even the quaddie and you'll get the biggest return. Top-toed exotics from Sportsbet.
We're here for the bingers, the TV tragics, the laptop peekers, the get an ep in on the way to work sneakers. For speak to the hand, I'm watching my show. I'm not coming to the party, but please, you go. For escaping the world, even just for a while. Go on, lose yourself. On your face, a big smile. With friends, or your family, or when everyone's gone. To all of you bingers! Binge on.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
A frantic rescue operation has swung into action after a whale became tangled in a rope off Sydney's Bondi Beach. These exclusive pictures were taken from above as the mammal tried to pull free. Eagle-eyed residents who were flying a drone alerted authorities and then helped them track the humpback. It took less than an hour for it to be disentangled.
We're actually really stoked that it's actually been freed itself a bit further out to sea.
The whale was last seen heading south. A water main has exploded near Suncorp Stadium, creating a nighttime spectacle. Our cameras were rolling as thousands of litres of water shot high into the sky on Roma Street.
An inner-city geyser. The sight and sound drawing a late-night crowd of backpackers.
Yeah, a lot of water, yeah, a lot of water.
The water main erupted around 11 p.m, shooting thousands of litres high into the winter air. Most of it landed over the fence, on the train track and power cables. Trains were suspended for an hour. The bus lane closed too, but the footpath took the brunt of the disruption. Luckily, no one was using it at the time.
It's the same as like a fire hydrant, you know, those things will lift cars.
Crisis averted, repair works begun, taking crews all night and all day.
None of our customers lost water due to the burst because we were able to continue supplying water through other pipes in the area.
What caused the explosion is still under investigation, but ground movement or a change in weather are the key suspects. Behind this bitumen blowhole. Tristan Vorius, 7 News.
Olympic organisers are working on a plan to simplify the already postponed Tokyo Games to cut costs and provide safety while still putting on a show. Organisers will look at reducing the number of people working on the event rather than cutting athletes or crowds. They're also open to changing the Games' long-standing protest ban, which has seen athletes sent home in the past. After 3 decades, an investigation into the assassination of a Swedish Prime Minister has been closed, although questions still remain. Olof Palme was gunned down in February 1986 after leaving a Stockholm cinema with his wife. A petty criminal was convicted of murder but acquitted. Prosecutors now believe the perpetrator was Stig Engström, a graphic designer who worked near the crime scene but died in the year 2000. Palmer was a prominent left-wing figure who fought for victims of injustice.
It's carved into the front of a landmark Brisbane building why this scene on City Hall suddenly has people talking.
A multi-million-dollar overhaul improving access to Moreton Bay's islands.
COVID screening in the workplace, what employers are doing to keep staff safe.
And after sport, outback communities on a recruitment drive for residents who can work from home.
JobKeeper tax bonus. The biggest return in years.
Stuff that, I wasn't even aware that I could claim.
Your bumper cash refund.
It's really easy.
And witness a total stranger save a dying baby on the footpath. The one simple step that saved a life. Coming up on 7 News.
The footy is back. And it starts with a Thursday night blockbuster.
You can't ask for more than that.
These two teams, everyone here knows the history.
Goes to another level. It's hard to get your head around it.
Both teams absolutely desperate.
Is this his big moment?
Oh boy, here comes the pressure.
That's unbelievable.
Collingwood and Richmond headline the season return.
Magnificent.
Starting tonight. Go to the footy, live and free on 7 Mate.
Hi guys, Michael Weldon here, back with another What's for Dinner, and today I've got a very special guest with me, Kevin Sheedy, in the house. We're celebrating one thing, footy's back on TV.
That is.
How excited are you?
Very excited because it's been a long wait. There's never been another year like this in the history of the game, and I think the fans are just yearning to see their teams play, players play well, obviously. And of course, there's nothing better than going to the footy and having a bit of tucker.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Steak sandwich before the footy, what do you reckon?
You're on the money right now.
There's a lot of pressure on you now.
Yeah, you better be good.
Awesome. So, really quick and simple steak sandwich, super simple and also very affordable. Just going to warm up some vinegar, some water and some sugar in a little bowl. I've got some thinly sliced onions there, Kev. It's super easy. Bring it over and we'll pour that in.
That's it.
They can sit there. Relax.
Don't touch them.
Don't touch them. 10, 15 minutes, done. Alright, so next we're going to do some caramelised onions. So I think every great steak sandwich, every great barbecue in Australia has caramelised onions. Got to have them. Yeah, chuck that pot on.
Over here.
Over there.
Nothing in it.
Nothing in it yet.
Put it on the hot plate.
Hot plate. Wow. Drizzle of olive oil.
A drizzle.
Perfect.
There you go. I hope my wife's watching this.
Spoon to give them a stir.
I've stirred all my life.
And then a pinch of salt, and that'll help them soften up. And while we do that, we're going to cook our steak.
Seriously good, dude.
Yeah? So I've got some really thin steaks here. So all I do for this, sprinkle of sea salt, and then just a little drizzle of olive oil.
We love that olive oil.
We're going to add them on. Now you can do this on a barbie, you can do it in a pan. Just make sure you're cooking with a really nice high heat. This pan's hot, 30 seconds each side. So you just want to
30 seconds.
Get a nice sear, yeah. Nice sear. And then some little bit of those little bar marks when you're laughing. Super simple steak sandwich. Now while you do that, Sheets, I've got a bit of turkey spread here. So a nice big long roll.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of mayo on the bottom, and then I've just got some lettuce leaves, tomatoes, mustard on top. Now chuck on our slices of cheese, double onion. This is the special bit. 4 beautiful steak sandwiches. 4 quarters on a game of footy. Beautiful. 4 sandwiches for 4 mates for under $20.
$5 each.
Less than $5 each. We're going to enjoy this, and we're going to watch the footy.
Absolutely.
This is Watch for Dinner. This is Kevin Sheedy. Thanks for watching. Happy eating.
Go footy.
A 70-year-old debate has reignited over a Brisbane sculpture that sits atop City Hall. Created in 1930, it highlights the colonisation of Indigenous Australians and is being labelled racist and wrong.
Passed by thousands of people every day, its significance lost on most.
I don't really have an opinion on it.
It's obviously inspired by ancient times.
Statues created by celebrated sculptress Daphne Mayo with a sinister tone.
On the official program, it was described as the progress of civilisation in the state of Queensland.
Depicting a dead Aboriginal Australian glorifying European settlers on City Hall, completed in 1930, criticised in the Sunday Mail in 1953 as portraying the blackest spot on our short history. In response, the artist confirmed her thoughts. Of course, the figures show the retreat of the Aborigine. Isn't it true? As a civilisation, they simply couldn't stand up to ours.
It is something that could be seen as being offensive to some people.
Opposition councillor Jared Cassidy says we need to tell the truth about Brisbane's past.
There were murders, there were massacres. Aboriginal people were killed in their hundreds and thousands.
And keep the sculpture, but shine a light on injustices. Instead of rewriting history, there's calls for future change, with more monuments celebrating Aboriginal Australians and their sacred sites.
Display the history of the areas, the proper sites.
And statues of Indigenous warriors that fought in the frontier wars against white invaders.
People like Dundalli, that's where I'd like to see the resources going.
Georgie Chumley, 7 News.
Ferry terminals for Moreton Bay's islands are being upgraded as part of a major overhaul of infrastructure and facilities. A multi-million-dollar development has been kicked into overdrive to boost employment on the bayside.
Carragara, Lamb, Russell and Macleay Island. This will be their new front door.
These projects with the jetties, that's going to provide a lot of job opportunities.
The $32 million project starting a year earlier to help an area hit hard by COVID.
There has been a lot of businesses that have been impacted.
The first jetty will be Russell Islands. Locals say it's desperately needed.
A lot of the jetties are sort of old and run down, and they're dangerous to actually even fish off.
Wynham Creek's multi-million-dollar renovation kicked into overdrive too. The marina's new development generating 100 jobs in construction and 700 jobs after.
I'm hopeful that these projects will flip the islands from being a place of great difficulty for people to get employment to one that it becomes a lifestyle choice to live on the islands.
The mini precinct will have restaurants, cafes, retail stores and medical facilities. The existing jetties will be used for fishing platforms and docks for small boats. Council hoping it will encourage more visitors to the area.
There's a lot of boat traffic on the water, so if you can get something for the recce's as well, that'd be good.
Not good reports council was selling 4,000 blocks of land for $15,000 each. That's false.
You won't find 4,260 blocks of land for sale from council.
Brittany Lane, 7 News.
As thousands of workers head back to the office, businesses are taking huge steps to ensure staff safety. Thermal imaging, early detection and automatic doctor's appointments are becoming standard.
On the morning walk into the office, it could be a thermal body scan that greets you in reception.
We know up front whether we've got someone who's going to have the potential to infect our workforce, and it's that person's flagged before they've managed to go past the front gate.
Designed in Queensland, the technology automatically checks your temperature. If it's too high, you're notified, immediately isolated, and an appointment set up with a GP.
What sort of cold and flu symptoms have you had?
A streamlined process to protect workers from potential infection.
The most important thing is the time factor, so within that first 15 minutes is crucial.
With this thermal imaging technology installed in companies across the country, the days of workers soldiering on and coming into work with a cold or flu could soon be over.
If I'm sitting there with a cough at home, I'll think twice before coming to the office.
Changes inside the office as well. Local suppliers seeing increased demand for appliances.
Coffee machines, mini fridges, toasty makers, even popcorn makers have made their way into some offices.
With communal areas closed, the kitchen is coming to the desk.
It's almost like they're creating a bit of a haven for themselves.
A very different look and way of getting back to work. Elliot Chipper, 7 News.
Coming up, the tale of a pokey little puppy that became stuck in a very tight space. The monstrous mission to save Dusty from a crevice between boulders.
Guns drawn, how police ended a carjacking spree on the Sunshine Coast.
The dramatic moment a baby is saved, the simple act that averted tragedy.
And why putting rubber on the road has just taken on a whole new meaning in Queensland.
A foodie journey of discovery across Australia's hinterlands.
Delicious local flavours, no matter where you travel.
The gooeyest dessert treat. The pot roast to warm you right up, and the mountain garden bringing the seasons together.
A surprise around every corner.
On New Better Homes, Friday on 7.
Right now, businesses are facing their toughest challenges. Get advice and inspiration from other local businesses on cash flow, marketing and managing staff. Get the support you need at businessaustralia.com.
Thanks to Light and Easy, Australians of all ages can enjoy their choice of delicious, nutritious meals in the comfort and safety of their own home. Especially those at a greater health risk during these times. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having Light and Easy meals delivered safely with our contactless delivery service, visit lightandeasy.com.au or call us on 13 15 12.
Switch gives you the power to pick your promo. This Saturday, choose whether to double your winnings or get bonus back if your horse finishes second or third in races 1 to 4 at Eagle Farm, Rose Hill and Moonee Valley. Ladbrokes, back yourself.
The streets are calling. Make sure you're ready to answer. The BMW 118i from 49,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
If you're experiencing abuse or domestic violence, contact 1-800-RESPECT for free, confidential advice and counselling, online and by phone 24/7. There's no place for abuse or domestic violence. Help is here. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Unless you're in possession of a full suit of ancestral armour,
or comprehensive cover from Noble Oak Life Insurance.
We don't recommend you try this at home. Search Noble Oak Life Insurance.
We are regional Australia.
We are winemakers.
We are coffee roasters.
Fashion designers.
Potters. Bakers.
Shopkeepers.
We're asking for your support because the wine is pouring.
The kiln is firing. And we're open for business.
Because where you shop matters.
Discover how Visa's network connects regional businesses to customers across Australia and the world.
Australians of all ages are choosing Light and Easy. Light and Easy can even assist those on aged care home care packages. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having healthy meals delivered, call us on 13 15 12.
To finance, and the Australian share market has suffered its biggest fall in 6 weeks. The ASX 200 down 3% or 187 points. Electronics retailer JB Hi-Fi fell $1.78, despite revealing its sales have been thriving during the pandemic. The Australian dollar is buying 69 US cents and $1.06 New Zealand, and drivers should avoid filling the petrol tank for now while the price of unleaded petrol is high. There's been a dramatic end to a 2-hour carjacking spree across the Sunshine Coast after 2 vehicles were stolen at knife point and a police car was rammed. Cornered in a dead end, police drew their guns and dragged the accused thief from a van. It's alleged he took a car at Mooloolaba, stole fuel at Perigian and sideswiped a bus before carjacking an Australia Post van yesterday. Brenton Leslie Harvey faced court today on 6 charges. We have remarkable video now of a 7-month-old baby being saved from a deadly choking attack by a very capable bystander. The man ran to a mother's aid after her little boy began turning blue, in a dramatic reminder of the value to all parents of basic first aid.
A parent's sheer panic caught on camera as 7-month-old Tyler Stiles battles to breathe and starts turning blue.
With the emotion of your own child, when you're in the midst of it, you can't think of anything. You just run.
Mum Sharyn had 3 first aid courses under her belt, but in fear, she froze, a stranger quickly becoming their saviour.
Does anyone know first aid?
When a child's choking, time is you've got to react very quickly.
Brett Weinbreck had recently completed emergency training. Security video shows him pick Tyler up, flip him onto his stomach and deliver 3 sharp blows to the back. clearing the phlegm from his airways.
Turning upside down is a good one, and if you give a bit of a blow, it usually helps.
It's exactly the skill Tiny Hearts educator Ashley Wyatt teaches parents-to-be.
We're going to get that hard part of our hand and we're going to do 5 back blows between the shoulder blades, checking the airway between each one.
Switching to 5 chest thrusts and eventually CPR if that fails.
It's recommended you update your first aid skills every 3 years, your CPR training once a year, and you should consider a refresher course if you're about to have a baby, with some classes now available online.
The more often you do it, the more likely you are to be able to call on it.
Giving parents those skill sets, that really could be the matter of life and death.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
The rubber will be hitting the road in a whole new way with a trial by Brisbane City Council of recycled tyres to create a smoother bitumen surface. The initiative will see up to 10,000 tyres a year that would have gone to landfill, blended with asphalt, then laid on the Brisbane road network. As well as having environmental benefits, the new rubber mix is said to make road surfaces last for a further 5 to 10 years. Firefighters may be used to rescuing kittens stuck up trees, but Dusty, a cute but curious puppy, has tested all their skills after getting wedged between 2 boulders at Stanthorpe. It became a delicate race against time, involving the local community and an excavator, but we're pleased to report this rescue has a happy ending.
When breeder Lisa Gillam got home to find a 6-week-old border collie missing from the litter, her heart sank. Then she heard Dusty's cries.
Then I went up the top and got a torch, and he was wedged right down the bottom of the boulder.
Fire crews were called in, but even they were left scratching their heads.
We went through quite a few different techniques and different equipment, and just nothing was working for us.
It was time to call in the heavy artillery.
Local farmer Ray Taylor arrived with his 21-tonne excavator, and the race against the clock and near freezing temperatures began.
We were sort of determined to sort of get him out regardless of what it took.
Finally, the excavator pulled the boulder back far enough to allow firefighters to reach Dusty.
He was just so careful, and the guys pulled him out and handed him to me, and I don't think I've ever cried so hard in all my life.
Crews, who all wanted a cuddle, say it was their toughest rescue yet.
Nothing to this degree of technical sort of difficulty. Most of them are just sort of a ladder up a tree or something like that.
Today, Dusty and his rescuers were reunited.
The best part's coming back and seeing him run around, and he came running up to us when we got to the gate.
So, after a rough night, Dusty is now fit and well. He'll go to his new owners in a few weeks, who'll be hoping his biggest adventure is now behind him. Katrina Blowers, 7 News.
Coming up, fancy a quieter life, the outback Queensland communities that want you to work from home in the bush. Plus, tax tips during a pandemic. What to expect if you're on JobKeeper or have been working from home. But time now for sport with Pat.
Sharyn, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Ahead, Brad Thorne opens up on the Reds' upheaval. News on one of the Broncos' biggest stars. The Cowboys will head south with a little extra swagger. 2 of their big guns are back. And the Lions bring the talented Berry boys together for a Gabba milestone.
Good morning, sir. I'm a private detective.
You're a what?
The streets of London are not what they once were.
Being a detective is a job for a man.
And yet you do it every day, William.
3 unmissable weeks of genuinely sizzling drama.
I've had no choice but to take the law into my own hands. I know what I'm doing.
The new 7-2 event, Miss Scarlet in the Duke, tonight.
We are regional Australia.
We are winemakers.
We are coffee roasters.
Fashion designers. Potters.
Bakers. Shopkeepers. We're asking for your support because the wine is pouring.
The kiln is firing. And we're open for business.
Because where you shop matters.
Discover how Visa's network connects regional businesses to customers across Australia and the world.
Hi mate, what have you been up to?
Not much. I miss you guys, and I miss you cooking.
I don't miss a thing. I got the new Woolies Rewards app.
Get everything in one place. Track your points and personalised offers to save even more.
That's why I pick Woolies.
Pocket Watch.
Nobody's got time for that.
This Saturday with Sportsbet at 2 tracks for all races. Finish second or third and get up to $50 back in bonus bets. That's 18 races with Sportsbet.
Make your home beautiful with furniture from Harvey Norman. We have a huge range of quality choices and exclusive designs. Fabric and leather lounges, flexible family-friendly modulars, manual or powered recliners, sofas with the latest smart tech built in, dining suites to complement a classic or bold contemporary look, plus the very best of Australian-made lounge and dining furniture, customisable to suit your style. Shop smart, shop safe in our spacious stores and take advantage of 60 months interest-free. Available now at Harvey Norman, your furniture specialist.
Trust RACQ Home and Contents Insurance to protect the things that make your home yours, inside and out. Cover more of what matters with RACQ. Buy online now and save up to $75.
I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. Say what can make me feel this way.
The first ever GLB, room for 7 and much more.
Huh?
Did someone say KFC?
I don't care.
The Sports Report brought to you by KFC. Get your KFC contact-free today.
The Broncos will fight for redemption against premiership contenders Manly tonight. Another poor loss and star players will be axed. But there's some good news for the club. David Fifita will be signed and still, there's a catch.
A whole new world for the Broncos on the road for their first post-shutdown away game. A Central Coast clash with Manly capping a brutal week. But on the contract front, there's good and bad news. Star back rower David Fifita, considered the best young forward in the game,
what a try! What a colossus!
has told Brisbane he's staying put, but 7 News understands he'll only sign a 1-year deal. Fifita's management contract ends in 2021. He wants his NRL contract to finish at the same time. The Broncos happy to do a short extension, confident of working out a longer deal next year. They can only dream of it being the 10-year bond Taumalolo's on. The bruising lock returns from injury tomorrow against the Warriors.
Yes and yes. So, yeah, he got through well and he'll play. He's one of our starters regularly, so it's always good to get any of those guys back in the side.
Green also unleashing sprint sensation Hamaso, the hammer Tabawai Fido.
Yeah, he was probably crying on the phone too, but yeah, it was probably worse when I was crying in the office, man.
Another talent rugby union lost.
Because he wanted to play professional rugby, so... Yeah, but then the cows came calling and then I said, oh yeah, we'll give that one a go, and then, yeah, so the rest is history.
The 18-year-old has claimed to being the NRL's fastest man.
I reckon he is, man, because he clocked about 10.5. It's funny how you watch him score these long-range tries in the nines, but as a fan, we've been seeing him do that ever since he was 7.
And multi-talented.
He's pretty good at maths, but I don't think he wanted to be a rocket scientist.
Dad just wishes his son's debut wasn't against New Zealand.
Yeah, that's my team, buddy. So I told him to take it easy on him, man.
Chris Garrett, 7 News.
Come Saturday at the Gabba, one of the closest families in the AFL will be separated for a moment that only comes once. The Lions have named Tom Berry to debut against Freo, joining his brother Jared in the team. But the pandemic will leave Dad stranded. Today's team meeting extra special. The footy's back, Tom Berry's on debut, but Dad's home in Horsham and can't move.
Because I know he'd be so proud, as would your mother if she was still with us. So good on you, mate.
The Berrys are a family galvanised by tragedy. Breast cancer took Mum Jeddah 7 years ago. She's never far from their minds. Mum and Dad will be there in spirit on Saturday.
You might be able to hear me from Victoria up there in Brisbane. I'll be shouting and yelling and going on. Don't worry about that.
He couldn't be prouder.
It's been something we've dreamt about for an awful long time.
They join an illustrious list. The Scott brothers, Chris and Brad, played 95 times for Brisbane, won 2 premierships. The brothers Berry now have a new target. But let's get over Saturday first.
We're ready to go. We're excited.
Excited but wary. Freo's been uprooted, put in a Gold Coast hub. Zorko's certain they'll arrive with a siege mentality.
All I can draw on is what we were able to do on the road last year, and those wins you really cherish, and I've got no doubt that they're trying to come away with a real positive record this month they're away.
At Ballymore, similar sentiments to the Lions' Den.
It's not overly complicated, is it? We just want to play some footy.
But Thorne is a big, tough man hurting after the shock desertions of Isaac Lucas and his project players, Isaac Rodder and Harry Hawkins.
For me, it's disappointing, you know. At the time, I was really... I was pretty gutted about that. It's not like you hate them or something. It's, they've made decisions as young men.
The Reds are back in action against the Waratahs on July 3. The sister of Aussie NBA star Ben Simmons has attacked Basketball Australia, accusing the governing body of racism.
You guys have always been racist. That's no surprise. You guys have never really wanted to see people succeed. I mean, we saw it firsthand with my brother, it's why he left the country. Basketball Australia constantly wants to promote black players like Liz Cambridge and Ben Simmons. You want to profit off our black athletes, but you don't want to stand with us.
Olivia Simmons wants Basketball Australia to publicly support the Black Lives Matter movement. Shane Van Gisbergen is the inaugural Supercars E-Series champion when Scott McLaughlin bombed out on a virtual version of Mount Panorama in last night's final round. It helped Van Gisbergen clinch the title. The focus now switches back to the real Supercars Championship, which restarts on June 27 at Sydney's Motorsport Park at Eastern Creek. That is our sport. Big AFL tonight, 7 mate. They're back.
It will be good to see it back indeed. All right, thank you, Pat. If you can work from home, why not move to the bush? That's the appeal tonight from Outback Queensland, hoping to entice city slickers to pack up and enjoy a whole new way of life.
In this current lockdown, are you dreaming of a place?
Wide open spaces off the beaten track.
Big sky country. Imagine breathtaking sunsets.
It's the Quilpie Shire Council's latest campaign, a call to arms from the bush to the big smoke.
Coronavirus, COVID-19, has really put some challenges up to all communities across Australia.
COVID-19 has devastated industry.
We're going to try and make the COVID-19 situation turn it into a positive for the bush.
Scenes like this could be a winning ticket for the West.
The biggest thing we've got to sell in our area is our lifestyle, and you can run your business from anywhere.
The median house price for a 3 to 4 bedroom home sits around $170,000.
Young couples coming out here to bring up their family, it's safe, the kids can play on the streets, go down the river.
Connectivity is a problem, but council is working on it.
The first stage would probably be to get NBN type speed via Wi-Fi in Quilpie, in the main centre.
All this, a long day's drive from Brisbane.
There's a great opportunity here for people to come, and please come.
Isabel Mullen, 7 News.
Now let's take a look at what's on Sunrise tomorrow.
Thanks, guys. Tomorrow on Sunrise, post-COVID jobs. What's on the rise as Australia finds its feet?
How to upskill now so you can benefit. See you tomorrow, Queensland.
Tax time during a pandemic. What will be the impact for you? What does it mean for people on JobKeeper or if you're working from home?
And at the moment it's 19 degrees in Brisbane. Some more rain on the way this weekend. I'll have the details coming up next.
With a $90,000 jackpot.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's going to be life-changing. Are you in to win? Only on
For the sake of those around you, eat a bit more Aussie fruit, veg and nuts. It's the good mood food.
Stratco has all the offers you need during the Stratco Stocktake sale. Get 72 months interest-free on patios and sheds and pay nothing for the first 12 months. Or get a $500 gift card on an Outback patio. T's and C's apply. So, you bring the dream, Stratco will bring the how-to.
Introducing Voltaren Osteo Gel 12 Hourly. With just 2 applications a day, it gives you joint pain relief for the whole day and all night. Next time, why not try Voltaren Osteo Gel 12 Hourly?
Make sure you're totally ready when it's time to present to your most important audience ever. Unlike ordinary toothpaste, Colgate Total's breakthrough formula actively fights bacteria on your teeth, tongue, cheeks and gums for 12 hours, keeping your whole mouth healthy. Colgate Total. Be totally ready for life.
Save 20% on your second policy when you buy new, eligible Suncorp home and car insurance together before July 10. Helping you save when you need it most. That's the Suncorp spirit.
We're for the bingers, the TV tragics, the laptop peekers, the get an ep in on the way to work sneakers. For Speak to the Hand, I'm watching my show. I'm not coming to the party, but please, you go. For escaping the world, even just for a while. Go on, lose yourself. On your face, a big smile. With friends, or your family, or when everyone's gone. To all of you bingers! Binge on.
The power's in your hands and at your feet. The BMW 320i sedan from 69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
What do you think?
You need some help. Hey fellas, come here for a minute. You need to create something really special. Create some theatre. Cook something Sarah loves.
I didn't check the gas.
Don't worry about it. I ordered it yesterday. It's out the front now. Hi, Gareth.
For next day LPG delivery, go to origin.com.au/localgas. Call 133 LPG or go online now for an instant quote and a great price.
Go on. You know you want it.
Come home to Home and Away. Weeknights on 7.
These two teams, everyone here knows the history.
Collingwood and Richmond, next on 7 Mate.
This weather report brought to you by your local Origin LPG team.
Making news this hour, a young mother has described the terrifying moment arsonists firebombed her Logan Reserve home. A Rockley wrecking yard has been fined at $3 million in the first industrial manslaughter prosecution in Queensland history. And a water main has exploded near Suncorp Stadium, an explosion even sparking train delays.
The coronavirus pandemic is about to hit another crisis point. Tax time. Those whose lives have been disrupted are wondering what effects JobKeeper and working from home might have. Well, the good news is, for many, it could mean a cash bonus.
Fitness consultant Ben Donhart has had enough to stress about in recent months.
We had a complete stop of income. So for the last, since I think it's 16th of March, 7th of March, everything stopped.
Now Ben, like millions of Australians, must explain his unusual circumstances to the tax office. Payments due to job disruption, like income protection or insurance, are taxable and must be declared. But
any amount that is withdrawn as part of the early release arrangement for superannuation is a tax-free amount.
JobKeeper at $1,500 a fortnight is taxable. If someone previously earned less than that, they might be pushed over the tax-free threshold.
And they'll have to pay that additional tax on that amount.
But if you earn less than expected this year, you might have paid too much tax already and be owed a bigger refund. And don't forget,
if you need anything to do your job from home in this environment that we've got at the moment, in most cases they are deductible.
That includes all running costs, such as heating, lighting, power, your phone and internet, and depreciation on your home office. You can itemise every expense, or just claim 80 cents for each hour worked from home from March 1 to June 30. Check the Tax Office website for a Tax Time Essentials list that discusses the major changes impacting our lives this year and how they affect your tax return. Gemma Acton, 7 News.
Weather now. Tony, what can we expect in the lead up to the weekend?
Well, Max, more showers and rain are on the way and they're set to pick up right over the weekend. Having said that, there will still be plenty of chances for people to get out and about. Today, sunny breaks. The warmer spots reached 26 or 27 degrees and all locations on the map here staying in double figures overnight. As we jump to the chart, the reason is pretty clear. A trough is dragging that wet weather off the coast today, leaving things mostly dry over land. Otherwise, quiet for much of the mainland, apart from this cold front bringing some wet weather to Western Australia. Tomorrow, not too much change for us. That trough and showers will stay mainly offshore. The western front moves into the Bight, then this system will eventually sweep across and help bring us that rain on the weekend. Across our great southern land tomorrow, more showers and a morning storm in Perth and a dry 19 degrees in Adelaide. Back to Queensland, and while tomorrow is looking mostly dry, a large band of rain picks up through central Queensland on Saturday before then sweeping towards the coast by late Sunday. In terms of rain totals, pretty handy for winter. Parts of the southeast likely pushing over 30 millimetres here, a few 10s and 20s further inland, especially for the Downs and Central Highlands and coalfields. In the north tomorrow, cloud thickening in Cairns, showers developing in Mackay, and all of that is a precursor for more wet weather over the weekend. Heading south, similar to today, some coastal showers from about Gympie through to Gladstone, again getting wetter on both Saturday and Sunday. Across the southeast, we can also just about copy and paste today. Patchy cloud, the odd brief shower is possible near the coast, but not too much in it. Across the suburbs, top staying just above average. Oxley leading the way on 25 degrees, make that 14 up to 24 in Samford. If you're keen to hit the water, south-southeasterlies to 20 knots. They'll ease and turn a bit more easterly towards the evening. So in Brisbane, some patchy cloud for your Friday, a 30% chance of a brief shower, 15 up to a top of 25 degrees. Then into the weekend, well, the passing showers start to pick up late on Saturday. They will continue on and off through into Sunday before a band of heavier rain arrives by Sunday night. In Ipswich, a 95% chance of rain on Sunday, but there will be a few dry breaks through the day, again peaking later in the evening towards night time. Gold Coasters, similar conditions over the weekend, and then it all clears out fairly quickly on Monday, staying dry into Tuesday, a top of 23 degrees. And on the Sunshine Coast, plan for a little bit of indoor time over the weekend. Then it dries up to passing showers into the early parts of next week.
Thanks, Tony. And that's all from us this Thursday. Thanks for your company.
Join Michael Asher for the latest from 7 News at 11:10 tonight. But for now, from all the team, we hope you have a very good night.
Good night.
I got a message for your dad.
Okay.
Tell him to stay the hell away from my mum.
What's she doing here?
She did stay the night, but nothing happened. It's no big deal.
Are you for real? Of course it's a big deal.